It's another Acoustic Alternatives and another one on the road. We're not far from Grove Studios this time. We're actually just a couple of miles from it, actually. And Grove Studios has really been the home of the podcast and the 60-some episodes that I've done because they were the one who encouraged me to do this in the first place. So if you're looking for a place to practice your band, maybe you want to make a little too much noise for your house, your neighbors might get annoyed by your loud music, go there. If you're a DJ and you want to do some practicing of that, that's another good place to do it. Or even if you want to listen to your final mix of your album, there's a room for that. The podcast studio, that's what I usually use. Today, though, we are in the basement of my guest, Adam Plomaritas. Adam, hello.
Hey.
Good to see you, sir.
You as well, John.
There's finally a new EP coming out called Old Time Love.
It's so new.
It's so new. We're going to talk about how new it is. December 1st. December 1st is the date of the release of the EP. It also happens to be the same date as the ARC show with the full band. How many people are in the band?
It's a lot. We're going to have, it's going to be kind of fluid up there.
Not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time. But, I think that we'll have, a good portion, probably half the night. We'll probably have 10 people crammed up on that stage.
Last time we did that was about 10 years ago for the release of The Hard Way.
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the full band. I've had the pleasure of hearing the EP in its incarnation in many phases and many stages, and I'm in love with it. I think it's one of the best things I've heard in a long time.
Oh, thank you. That's too kind.
I think people need to hear a song, however. What would you like to start with?
I feel like maybe All I Need Is You is what's just right in front of mind.
Okay, go for it.
And it's how I feel about you, John.
Oh.
Make this happen. All right. Baby, who do you think you are? Taking up all of my time. I can't get enough of you. You're always on my mind. People say I only met you, and it's moving way too fast. Well, that was then and this is now. Quit living in the past. I don't care what your friends say about it, that I'm coming on too strong. They don't know I've dreamed of you for so long. Well, the only way to know for sure is to give it all you got. So why don't you and I give love a try, and baby, strike while the iron's hot. Yeah, you and me are never gonna be alone, 'cause I want you and you and me to have you for my own. And I yesterday till I know it's true, that I am yours and you are mine. Baby, all I need is you. Come on, all I need is you. Baby, all I need is you. All I need is you. Baby, loving you is easy, easy. I really have to try. Well, try I will, and girl, until you see my mind. Every night I dream about you, can't seem to do without. In my mind, you've been doing it right. You know what I'm talking about. I don't care what your friends say about it, that we need to get a room. If they feel like I did, maybe they'd be kissing you. Well, the only way to know for sure is to give it all you got. So why don't you and I give love a try, and baby, strike while the iron's hot. Yeah, yeah. You and me are never gonna be alone, 'cause I want you and you and me to have you for my own. And I hate someday, yeah, till I know it's true, that I am yours and you are mine. And baby, all I need is you. Come on, all I need is you. Baby, all I need is you. All I need is you. Oh. Yeah, the only way to know for sure is to give it all you got. So why don't you and I give love a try, and baby, strike while the iron's hot. Yeah, yeah. You and me are never gonna be alone, 'Cause I want you and you want me to have you for my own. And I hasten the day till I know it's true, that I am yours and you are mine. Oh, all I need is you. You and me, oh, never gonna be alone. 'Cause I want you and you want me to have you for my own. And I hasten the day till I know it's true, that I am yours and you are mine. And baby, all I need is you. Come on, all I need is you. Baby, all I need is you. All I need is you.
Adam Plomaritas is my guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, live from his basement this time, welcoming me into his home. Not the first time we've been here before, but always happy to be listening to you sing anything, and All I Need Is You. There's no non-favorites on this new EP, but I love that one. And until yesterday, I actually never paid attention to the Johnny Gill reference in the middle of the song. You pointed
My.
You pointed it out. I'm like, oh yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do know that one.
It's not a rare occurrence that I'll throw homages to other songs and artists into my own songs, and it doesn't. Sometimes it goes unnoticed, and that's okay. It can be there just for me to know. But yeah, I spilled the beans at the listening party that there was a couple. There was also a little Jackson 5 walk down after the breakdown chorus.
We won't tell.
So.
I mean, I guess we just did.
We just did. Yeah,
I doubt anybody's going to come after you, because how many different ways can you arrange the same notes? I mean, seriously.
Well, don't talk to Marvin Gaye's estate about it.
I'm aware of
You'll
that.
be safe. So I will, from now on, promise to never pay homage to Marvin Gaye's estate music. Sorry.
Probably
safe.
safe.
At least not on record.
Probably a safe thing to do. That one was written about?
That one was kind of just written about, a new love that it seems new to everybody else. But when you've been thinking about it for a long time, and then it finally comes to fruition, it doesn't feel new to you. It feels like finally this is just home. This is where things were meant to be, and I don't need anything else. So everybody else that thinks we're kind of crazy and like fell too hard and fast, they can go deal with it.
Yeah. Nice. And catchy song at that.
Yeah, light and fun,
Yeah. Well, we've done this before. This is about our 5th or 6th interview together. I've kind of lost track. But this is for the benefit of the people who are discovering new artists on the Acoustic Alternatives podcast, whether it's the video or the audio. So let's talk a bit about your background. Born and raised in Yspilanti?
Yeah, spent most of my time around Ypsilanti, almost all between Dexter and Belleville, that stretch of 94 kind of, 94, 14, 23 little area. That's where I lived most of my life. Little bitty stints with my mom out of state for, maybe a year at most at a time, which were actually some even if they're short stints, they're pretty formative out in Texas, suburbs of Dallas. Although Waxahachie is not really a suburb of anything. It's just, some cows in a field.
Kind of fun band name.
Wait, is it a band name?
It's a band name.
Holy cow, I didn't know.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, I went and, after a bad breakup around 19 or so, I went and decided, I was like, Mom, you gotta, you're out in Waxahachie in the sticks. Can I just come and crash in your camper for a little bit? And, I think I wrote some songs back then and just delivered pizzas for a couple months and just, got over it.
Yeah.
And let's see. And then my mom also lived out in Lynchburg, Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains area that I did a lot of visiting to. And actually, that's one of like the greatest drives. She lives close to me now. She lives 20 minutes away. And I'm so glad to have her here. She came here because this is where most of the grandkids are. So I'm so glad to have her. But one of the things I miss is driving through those mountains for Thanksgiving and Christmas and that kind of thing. It would be such a beautiful scenic drive. And you're going to see more about that in some of the music that's yet to be recorded. And
Perhaps
released.
2024 we'll hear.
I sure hope
Come
so.
on.
I sure hope so.
You can do it.
I sure hope
The songs are written. I know that. So what about high school, Adam? What did he do for fun?
Oh, high school Adam. I mean, I was fully into music by high school.
When did you pick it up?
I mean, I loved music from my first memories. I don't remember this, but my parents tell me that, my dad was a musician. He was kind of a very serious garage band musician, if that makes any sense, his whole life. And at a minimum, that's what he was. Sometimes more than that as a profession. But I was told that before I could really talk, I could sing all the words to "You Give Love a Bad Name"
Ooh.
by Bon Jovi. Apparently, it was my favorite song. Apparently, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Van Halen were like my favorite bands as a 2-year-old.
Seems unlikely.
Don't know what kind of parents I had at 2 years old that I would be exposed to this. But yeah. Well, and then to be honest, so like my dad had a pretty profound religious conversion experience right around a year or two after that. So a lot of that kind of music like didn't leave my life in total. It was just a lot less prevalent because my dad wasn't singing it all the time. My dad wasn't singing Bon Jovi and AC/DC in bars as much anymore. He was singing in churches.
That does change a little bit of what you're singing.
It does. So I still, I would still get the, some of the worldly secular music we held on to after that time was We Never Lost Boston.
Yeah, can't lose those first 2 albums.
Yeah. Or Third Stage.
Third Stage.
You're a big fan. I mean, Third Stage was 86, I want to say. I was 3 years old. Yeah, there was no getting away from Amanda.
No.
Coolie Engines. Alabama, Ronnie Millsap, Willie Nelson were pretty big presences. And, Mark Farner, actually, who had probably had like a big religious conversion around the same time. Did. I think because of that, my dad was like, oh, this is cool. And he still made great music for a long time, too.
He turned Some Kind of Wonderful into a religious song.
Yeah. It was really...
I've heard him do that.
Really great version of it, too. So, high school... So, by the time I get to high school, I'm playing in church. I'm singing in church. I'm singing in the choir at school. I'm playing a little bit in the jazz band. I was never like a full-fledged member, but I would get called in every once in a while to sit down on guitar. Part of like a barbershop quartet with some friends that we did some, maybe more like pop tune stuff, Boys to Men, Billy Joel songs, kind of like arranged. We did Dave Matthews Band tune, a cappella, ants marching. And and then I got my first guitar, I want to say for like 9th or 10th birthday, and never put it down, like ever. Like just was obsessed.
Just to get married. Put it down then.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I had a guitar in my hands very, very often, and I remember my dad wasn't concerned, but he was like, I thought my dad was talking to other people. I could overhear him saying, I thought that I loved music, but this kid is obsessed. He comes home from school, and he will. This is what I would do: is I would I didn't really take guitar lessons for the most part when I was younger. I would take little tapes, cassette tapes, because that's what we were still using back then.
Sure.
I'd come home from school, and I would turn on Riff or 98.7 or whatever rock station was happening at the time, and I'd turn the volume all the way down, and I'd hit record. And I'd go do the dishes or get a snack or do some homework, and I'd have headphones in, listening to whatever CD or tape I had at the time, which if my dad knew about it, it was like Elvis or the Beach Boys, and if he didn't know about it, it was Megadeth and Van Halen and whatever else, Ozzy Osbourne, who knows. And then I would flip the tape at some point, and then I was a pretty good student, so I get my homework done. I go, hey, let's see what we recorded today and what we want to and what we can learn. And I would just learn as much of the 45 minutes per side usually of those tapes that I could.
Just teaching yourself whatever you're hearing on the radio.
Yeah, just trying to go through it and learning it by ear. And I was learning how to read melody line for voice in choir, a pretty intense choir at the time. And I wasn't doing much with reading music and guitar until I had a good friend who was a drummer, a really good drummer, who we were getting together just to jam in high school. And he goes, hey, I've got this idea. If you could read this rhythm I wrote out and just like play something to it. And it was in 7/8 time, which is an odd meter time signature. I probably remember it. It was what we came up with was that kind of riff, and it moved around. I don't know that we ever, we probably performed this as a song once or twice.
It's kind of metal.
It's very metal. It's very progressive-y. No one likes it except for music nerds, which when you're 15 and 16, you don't know any of them really. No, I didn't, at least.
Not yet, no.
We were probably a little ahead of our time. If we were 8 years later and we had been in music school and college, there would have been a lot more nerds around that loved what we were doing. So, we were working on this stuff, and it was kind of oh, wow, this is kind of neat. And that gave me the idea. Actually, that moment was when I made the connection that my dad, who loved music also, but never learned to read or write music, I would watch him and his bandmates write and arrange songs together. And it was a lot harder for them to go, hey, can you play this, Phil? Or why don't you play this on guitar? Doodly doodly doodly. It was a lot harder to do that and get what you were actually wanting to than just going, hey, I wrote this out. What do you think? Can you play it and listen to it? I'm this is going to change everything. I'm if I can learn this language and communicate with other people a lot faster, and in some sense you can be more creative. In some senses it might stifle creativity to be stuck to a page. But I don't know. It just felt I just felt like I need to learn how to do this better. And so, yeah, probably somewhere around middle of high school, I kind of focused a little more on reading and writing music. Never really playing classically. I took a week or two of classical lessons in college for my degree. And I really don't think the teacher liked me, and it was mutual. So I'm yeah, I'm going to find a way to do this. I think I switched to music minor because of that experience.
And where did you go to college?
All over. I actually graduated from Madonna University.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyways, high school, I got, I was singing classical choral music a lot, Haydn, Mozart, Bach. And then I would come home and I was loving metal, classic rock. And about halfway through high school, I started really liking R&B music. Usher, Mariah Carey. I always loved Mariah Carey just to listen to, but I started listening to it as more of a musician and talking to my friends about, hey, do you hear what's going on? There's guitar in this song. Do you hear the guitar in this? Usher My Way is all guitar. It's almost the only instrumentation. It's just that little loop played over and over and over. Yeah. And my friend's oh, wow, I never realized there was guitar in all this. All this R&B music. And also some, to go along with some of that progressive metal, like the Dream Theater type stuff that me and my friends were into, Liquid Tension Experiment. Gospel music. There is a branch that is not uncommon of really complicated, I would almost call it progressive, gospel music. So Fred Hammond, Israel Houghton, and Hezekiah Walker and others, where the musicianship is so cool. It's just people just flexing their muscles and just chops for days. And so a handful of my friends were kind of in this world too, where it's we love listening to and analyzing and playing metal, R&B, and gospel. It'd be the strangest, most eclectic CD collection. We had the big 500 CD wallets, and I also wasn't afraid to just have NSYNC and Backstreet Boys right in there with the metal. People, what are you doing? I'm hey, I like all the music. It's fine. Get over it.
Well, this has been one of the challenges with you in a good way. Is that it's hard to define you. And I wrote this out because you grew up on rock, your father's taste, Kansas, Boston, other bands named after cities and states like those.
Chicago,
70s singer-songwriter scene, a little bit of that Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, maybe even James Taylor. Heavy metal, hard rock, Van Halen, Megadeth, but also the singing styles of Elvis, gospel, Mariah Carey. The guitars came from Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, John Mayer. I mean, and somehow Babyface is in there. There's not a lane to put that in. That's you.
It's a road wrecker. It's what I don't know. It's
Because then there's the country stuff that I didn't even put in there.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's okay, but do you feel that is a detriment to making you a successful musician?
Oh, certainly.
But why?
Certainly.
Why do you think people can't handle this?
I'll say this, is that there's more than one reason to make music. And they're all fine. They're all like morally acceptable I mean, unless you're just trying to be evil. I don't know how you could do that. Maybe you could, I don't know. But anyways, the main two reasons to make music are, I don't know, no, that's fair. I was gonna say to make other people happy and to make yourself happy, but then there's a third that's to make money or fame and notoriety, and those don't always run parallel. They don't always even intersect. Mm-hmm. And if you get really lucky, they can. I remember hearing John Mayer after his first record, after Room for Squares, when he finally did the John Mayer Trio, which was all 3-person blues, and people were like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah,
it like blew him up. It was like, this is awesome. And before you were this teeny bopper star that all like the teenage and college girls liked, and the guy's like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll go with my girlfriend to see this guy at a club. But now, John Mayer Trio playing at Eric Clapton's Crossroads Festival, people are like, this guy's a freaking serious guitar player, and he loves the blues, and he can do it. And he got a lot of flack for like, why did you ever make Room for Squares? Which I love the songs on Room for Squares. And from before that. Yeah. You know, Comfortable wasn't on there, was it? Is it Comfortable before that? Such a great tune. And John was already like flexing. We're on a first name basis. John Mayer. John was already flexing his like, you know, orchestration muscles already, where he's doing really weird stuff. Neon is out of control. It's an incredibly hard song to play that was on Room for Squares. But basically, he's like, look, he goes, a lot of musicians, people can look this up and tell me how wrong I'm getting this, but it was a paraphrase is, a lot of artists do what they love and work really hard to get famous, and then in order to stay famous, they sell out.
Yeah. I guess I've seen that happen.
Right? It happens a lot. And then, like, those artists tend to feel, or at least that's how they're perceived. And they might say, no, I'm finally doing what I really love to do. And he just was honest about it and goes, I saw that game, and I was just going to sell out first. I'm going to make my money and get my name out there, and then I'm going to show people what I really, really want to do.
That's great.
And I mean, to be honest, what you described about my style ADD, I'd say the same thing about him.
He is all over the place.
He's
covered Beyonce and Jimi Hendrix in his lifetime, right?
He's done a bunch. He's done some country stuff. Yeah. You know, Born and Raised and Wildfire were really country heavy, and some of the newer stuff he's done is that way too. He's done some really R&B heavy stuff. So
maybe he's your template.
Yeah, well, he got famous a lot quicker than I did, which is
well,
still to come. Maybe, who knows?
Well,
but also that's not. I think that part of the difference is that was clearly part of his goal. Not to mention he's a savant and brilliant. Yeah. But I think part of his goal was, I'm going to win Grammys. I'm going to have #1 hits. And that, for better or for worse, was never my motivation. And I've actually in the last few years started wondering, like, maybe it should have been. Like, I don't regret not having it be. But, like, maybe if I had gone into things going, I want to be a Grammy-nominated, award-winning, arena-selling outing, artist. Even if you don't hit that, maybe you still land somewhere higher than you did. But it just, I don't know. I never felt that urge to pre-sellout or post-sellout. And I tend to write music more for me than other people. I'd say that's almost the order that I write the songs. And if those 3 things I mentioned were the primary motivations for making music and this type of art, is to make yourself happy, to make others happy, and to make money, or financial and notoriety. Yeah. That's the order that I tend to do them in. And yeah, it can be hard.
There you go.
And you mentioned some of the stylistic stuff. I don't know if there's any way to help it. I just don't. Some people are happy being in a lane and doing a very similar thing. You know, AC/DC made the same record how many times? They're okay with it. They're great at it and they can do it. And I just couldn't. I had to.
I respect that.
I mean, I got to be honest, because you mentioned James Taylor, who I love. But two artists that I was clearly aware of as a youngin', as a kid, but I didn't really get into until much later in life were James Taylor and Stevie Wonder, who now are two of my biggest influences probably. Mm-hmm. But gosh, it had to be at least college to where I really started to like grasp what they were to songwriting. And I'm gonna like, this isn't how we tend to use the phrase the American Songbook. We tend to mean something a little bit different.
Yes, much older.
Right, but we probably should change the definition a little bit.
Expand it.
Yeah, because Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, the Beatles, Motown,
Those songs
in
are
general,
those songs are part of our
it's a part
landscape.
of our culture
Yeah.
and our blood and our breath.
Yeah.
And I didn't grasp that with some of these artists until way later, until I'd already been I was way into Usher before I ever got way into Stevie Wonder. And there was a little bit of a journey. There was some playing out once I got a little older, and kind of went through Stevie Ray Vaughan's catalog of going, where did this come from? Where did he come? Where did he get this? And so I'd spend some time like really obsessing over somebody's catalog and going, why haven't I dug into Ray Charles more? What am I thinking? And sometimes it doesn't always resonate with you. I've tried a couple times to get all the way through Bruce Springsteen's catalog, which is expansive. And like Bruce Springsteen, somebody I used to never really care about. The Rolling Stones, somebody I didn't really care about. I understood that a lot of people liked him, and I was like, when it comes to Beatles, Rolling Stones, I would choose the Beatles.
Clearly.
Recording, though, I learned some stuff and gleaned some stuff along the way about the Rolling Stones where I was like, whoa, they're doing some really cool stuff that I just wasn't even aware of. And I need to give some of this music another go. And, also my brain at least only has so much capacity to take in so much music at once. And so there's all kinds of stuff on the list of artists and songs that I'd like to listen to more, but like there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
My
guest today on Acoustic Alternatives is Adam Plomaritas. New EP coming out called Old Time Love, due out on December 1st, show at the Arc to celebrate that. And there are 5 quote-unquote new songs on it. And I don't know which one you want to play next, but I think it's a good time to take a break, play a song.
Yeah, hopefully I can play one that I know.
You know them all.
Let's see here.
That sounded like the last track.
What's that?
I recognize the guitar lick.
Yeah, wow, one note, you recognize it. You mentioned
Pretty familiar with these songs.
Yeah, you mentioned Babyface. And actually, what's funny is that at the listening party we had last night, my wife has heard most of these songs pretty much from the time they're written. Mm-hmm. Just because she's around the house while I'm working on them or hears me playing them out. And for the first time ever, she leans over last night. She goes, "This song kind of sounds like Babyface." And I'm like, "This song was written 10 years ago. You're just now picking up on that?" I was like, "Yeah, that was kind of on purpose." So I think I'm going to play Love on Your Side, which I wrote about my goddaughter Nina. And let's hope that I can. I've been off. I've been like off on vacation. I've been off due to illness and then vacation for a bit. So I feel a little just foggy.
You got this.
So just to, we're just hanging out. We're doing stuff. So Love on Your Side. Don't even know you, but I know your name. Oh,
Oh, sweet Karina, I'm gonna love you the same. When your daddy told me you don't know me a thing, I could use some help with my baby queen. When you feel like the whole world's weight on your shoulders, just know that it's not. The grace that you need to get through is never more than you got. When your heart begins to get weary from the weather and strife, I'll be there to remind you you're gonna be alright. When water surrounds you in shimmering light, and you turn from darkness into day from night, when you feel like the whole world's weight on your shoulders, just know that it's not. The grace that you need to get through is never more than you got. Your heart begins to get weary from the weather and strife. I'll be there to remind you it's gonna be alright. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 'Cause when the day is long and the road is hard, you're along for the ride. Go down on your knees 'cause your prayer is strong, and you'll find it's alright. 'Cause you got love on your side. Love on your side. Feel like the whole world's weight on your shoulders, just know that it's not. The grace that you need to get through is never more than you got. When your heart begins to get weary from the weather and strife, I'll be there to remind you it's gonna be alright. 'Cause when the day is long and the road is hard, you're along for the ride. Go down on your knees 'cause your prayer is strong. You'll find it's alright, 'cause you got love on your side. 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 You got love on your side.
Great tune from Adam Plomaritas' forthcoming EP, Old Time Love. Love on Your Side, the track that closes out the 5-song CD, and one that, if adult contemporary radio still exists, it belongs on adult contemporary radio. And might I suggest that if you do that in a concert, in a setting where it's appropriate, perhaps blend it right into your version of Change the World, the Eric Clapton song.
Oh, that's an interesting
thought. Go right into it,
Hmm.
because I think they would be a nice couple. Just like find your transition.
It
Yeah.
can totally
Yeah.
work.
I only know that because he did change the world in a previous studio session, so I know he has the ability to perform.
Even though I was fully aware and intentional about going, hey, this is a very babyface-ish type song, I'd never
This is the
put
first
it
time.
together.
This is the first time I put
It's
it
the first
together.
time you thought of it too.
You're
Okay.
sitting 3 feet away from me, and I'm like, ooh. It's a little idea. So here we are. Anyway, we're in the basement of Adam Plomaritas, not in Grove Studios today. Grove Studios has been kind enough to nudge me in the right direction 3 years ago to do a podcast. And if it weren't for them, we might not be sitting here doing this. So thank you to Grove Studios. Get out of the garage, get into the studio is their motto. And we are in your basement instead of your garage. We're not making a lot of noise, but I appreciate that you're welcome.
Hey, Grove's great. I've done a couple things there, and I'm so glad they exist. They've been for me. I've had rehearsals there, and
Yes, the electric guitars are over there, and they make a little bit more noise.
Yeah, no, we're decently insulated down here. And,
Yeah.
You know, I'm not too loud when the kids and wife are here or asleep, and I've got ways to keep it down when they're around. And
That's the best way. Get out of the house.
Yeah, I can get plenty loud when I need to, though.
There you go.
See the amp wall behind us, which
Yes, I
aids
do.
in that.
So we talked a bit about your past. Your present is also multifaceted. You have many projects. You're a solo artist. You sometimes front a band, which we'll be doing. You have been playing in wedding bands for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You are the coach for the Future Stars, which is a thing that happens in Ann Arbor.
I've been a part of the band for Future Stars, which is primarily vocal talent competition for Ann Arbor Public Schools, the high school age. I've been in the band every year but one for 10 years, 10 or 11 years. I want to say this might be the 11th year coming up, but it might only be the 10th. I'm not sure. I missed 1 year because I had a conflict where I couldn't play the run of shows. But even that year, I was still a vocal coach. So I've been a vocal coach for probably about half that time. And Billy Harrington, who brought me into that gig, was the longtime music director. And he's been touring so much lately, doing, the Simon and Garfunkel story or Dirty Dancing or British Invasion, that he hasn't been able to do it. So I've actually been the musical director for it as well for this will be the 3rd year running.
Because you don't have enough going on. Because you're also a church music guy.
Yeah, and I do. And I still spend a lot of time doing music in churches.
He's got his hands in many fires, and that's why he's a little burnt out at the moment, I think. But a guy who just really wants to make this music that you're performing for me for a living.
Yes.
This is what you deserve to be doing. Not that those other things don't have value, because they do.
Yeah, and I think that's what can be hard is how do you say no to good things?
Wedding music pays well.
Yeah, wedding music is where a lot of the bills get paid. Doing stuff for churches is edifying, helpful to people. I do a lot of funerals and wedding ceremonies, which is really those two things. The music there is right to people's soul,
Right?
Like the most important parts of their life, just really being a help there. So yeah, it's hard to focus. And that is I know what I need to do. It only took me until 40 years old. But I finally learned that you got to start saying no to even some good things to make room to do other good things and to do them really well.
Which lane are you most comfortable in? Like, what do you find yourself going, I got this?
I don't know. I mean,
all of them it could be.
I find I get the most, what fills up my cup the most is going to be what we see December 1st.
Okay.
Is where I can get in front of a group of people and
horns, organ,
violins. But to be honest, John, even if it's not the full shebang, it's more the setting of it's mostly my songs, maybe a few covers thrown in, and we're just having a conversation. We're telling some stories, we're telling some jokes. Hopefully, some of them are funny, but just giving people music in that type of setting to where that's kind of what they're there for, right? You can play bars and you can play, you can open up for Rick Springfield, which I did earlier this year.
That's on the list here.
And it's a blast, but that's not what people were there for.
No.
Whereas at the Arc, at 20 Front Street, at these other listening room environments, Black Crystal Cafe.
Trinity House,
exactly. People are there because they want to take in the music in a different way. They want to take it in a more holistic way. So it's definitely a lot of fun to get up on stage with 10 or 12 people. It's also a lot of work in some ways. There's a lot of prep that goes into that and a lot of money that goes out for that. So I feel like that's what really fills me up. Sometimes the festival gigs are pretty freaking fantastic too, because you get a lot of people to where I don't know that music is the only reason they're there, but it's a big part of the reason.
They're there to see music, but maybe not to see you, and they stumble into you.
Yes, that's exactly right. Is that they they're there because they know it's going to be a cool environment.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I'm going to come out to this festival on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and I know that the weather might be nice, and that I don't even they almost will never know all of the artists playing, but they're probably there because there's somebody on the bill that night that they like. And that's what's really cool is to show up for a group of 1,000 or 2,000 or so people that aren't all there to see you and turn them.
Yeah.
And turn them to you.
That's
a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. Another thing that you do that we didn't have on the list here is sideman. And one of the things that should be on your resume, and it's hard to quantify it because it's not you, but you are the first person we see in a video that has 15 million views.
Is it up to 15 now?
15 million views. And the first thing we see is your guitar and then you, and then eventually we get to Christina. Wow. 15. I don't know any of my other musical friends from the Ann Arbor Ypsi music scene who can be seen in a video that have Billy's in it. But that's a significant thing.
Yeah.
And it could open a door like, hey, that's the guy from the video.
I feel like the Wolfpack guys might have that beat, maybe. But yeah. But you're right. That's quite a cool accomplishment that Christina Kateri was gracious enough to have us all be a part of. And we all worked hard on it too.
We should probably tell them what it is.
Yeah, so Christina Kateri Band, her video, her cover of Chris Stapleton's Tennessee Whiskey, mashed up with Etta James' I'd Rather Go Blind, has quite a lot of views. And I'll also tell you that it's all organic. There was no paid advertising for it or anything like that. It just hit. Yeah. It just kind of took off. The other videos are great too. The other ones have thousands and maybe millions too, but maybe not quite that many. That one really...
It's great.
Really hit with people.
Yeah, it's great.
I think it's probably because of how cool my guitar looks right in the
That's
beginning.
Right.
People just are going to stick around. So I was very happy with that whole session. We did I don't remember 5, 6 or so videos in a day, and actually, our mutual friend Chris DuPont is having a little release show at the place we shot those videos.
Oh, okay.
Coming up pretty soon.
Very cool. Well,
I don't know when this airs.
It depends on when we actually get this.
Sure.
Yes.
So,
well, that's something that she's probably really proud of because she's the vocalist on it. That's an accomplishment for her. Yeah. The band was important, but
but you're right. I should be more selfish about that and tell people that I was on that. You're right.
You could.
She wouldn't mind at all. She'd be glad. I mean, it's going to help her out too. But yeah,
Sure.
You're right. That's a big deal. I was MD for that whole thing too, so I had a pretty decent role in making sure. I mean, they were all covers, so it wasn't like my job was really hard, but I had to make sure that everybody was on the same page and that the sounds were good, and that was a blast.
What's an accomplishment of your own that you're really proud of? Because I'm assuming Christina's proud of that.
Accomplishment of my own? I don't know. I mean, the hard way, I'll say this. The hard way was great. I was talking with some of the guys last night at the listening party we had, the first kind of listen through with everybody, and this new EP... I have no complaints about musically, sonically. I am so happy with everything, with how everything turned out. I feel like the audio product we're giving people with this is top notch, and I just couldn't be more pleased. There's nothing on it where I go, I wish that note was a little different. No. I wish this drum beat was a little different here. Or I wish this sound was different. I'm so pleased. And I should be because it took a really freaking long time to do it.
I was going to say something, but...
So, I mean, yeah. Well, we talked about Boston earlier, and Boston was notorious for taking forever to make their records. Granted, when they were doing it, technology was a big factor, and that they were inventing the technology of modern recording while they were doing it. That's part of the reason it was taking so long. But like I really grasped how it can take a long time, even though you have the songs written, is that they go through so many permutations. They go through rewrites, they go through rearrangements, and you record them, and you're not in love with the audio capture. You're like, you know what? I just don't love how this guitar sounds. I don't love how these drums sound, and I don't love it enough to where I actually want to start over. Not that anybody played anything poorly. You just know that this isn't the final vision for what this song should be.
Right.
And I feel so good about this. So I hope that's not cheating to say what's about to come out. I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
And if it's got to be something that's already come out, The Other Side and Fireside Christmas, my last two singles, I feel very great about. Fireside Christmas was such a cool endeavor, and if you don't know it, look it up. Maybe I should play that. I don't know if I know the words. The way that came together, I wrote that song procrastinating when I should have been practicing like cover band songs.
Oh, okay.
I was up in my living room where there's a fireplace, and I'm like, I got an idea for a song. And I'm going to do that instead of what I came here to do. And I wrote it relatively quickly. And Erin Zindel from the Ragbirds invited me to come and be a part of her eBird Holiday show 5 years ago. And I pitched, hey, would you be okay if I did an original song I just wrote? She was like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Do you want to have horns and strings and everything on it? And I was like, yep.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
That's an invitation I cannot pass up.
And yeah, and so she set somebody to the task, and I got a hold of the arrangement and went like, crazy Dr. Frankenstein on it, and took Ross Huff's arrangement, and I did all kinds of surgery. Not that Ross didn't do great work, but I just, again, I had like a laser vision for how I wanted it to sound. And it was really awesome that he was able to give me a very good like foundation to start from. But then I was like, okay, I see what Ross was doing. Now I know where it's got to go. Now I know where I want to take it. And so recording that song was a blast with Jeff at Big Sky. It kind of was a late decision to record it the way I did it, and the players I got for it just did a phenomenal job. I particularly want to call out one of the guys that's going to be playing on stage with me at the Arc December 1st. Marvin Thompson played piano on that song. Oh, he did such a good job. It's such a good job. So go ahead and pull up Fireside Christmas on Spotify, YouTube, whatever, and pay special attention to the piano and everything.
Well, we just talked a little bit about procrastination. We should take this opportunity to mention that the act that's starting the show off, and I don't know if I want to call her an opening act because she's ready. She's been ready in my mind. But Kylie Phillips is opening the show.
She's opening as a huge favorite to me because she is a headliner.
She's a headliner.
For sure.
She's been a headliner, but she's finally taken that step. Her new EP is also excellent. She's been previewed on the Acoustic Brunch before. She did a couple songs in Chris's basement, and those are up there from 6 months ago before the EP came out. So
that was a great episode.
Yeah, don't skip that one. Go back and listen to that one if you're listening to this one. But we're very excited to have Kylie on the show. Yay!
And John, I actually just want to butt in. Kylie's awesome, but you just struck a nerve. I know that every time you have somebody on to this, there are people that tune in because they're fans of that artist.
Yeah.
If you're tuning in because you're fans of mine, listen to John's other episodes. They're so good.
Thanks, buddy.
They're so good. The one with Chris and Kylie, the one with Drew DeFore, which I'm just now getting to. Oh my gosh.
That was a great conversation.
Like you had,
Not only are Jeff and Ben Daniels one was a lot of fun.
I still need to get that one. Actually, I put on my list to listen to before Drew DeFore, but for whatever reason, Drew was on my mind and I pulled it up. But yeah, like you're such a great interviewer, and the way that you're cultivating your guests on these is a great thing. Like you're really pulling out people that people should listen to and hear about. And
that's the point.
Great conversations, great music. Listen to it.
Thank you.
Where can people find it?
Well, the easiest spot that they're all located in one spot is johnbomarito.com. There's a tab that says Acoustic Alternatives. And actually, if you go to the bottom of that tab, I should mention this, there's a Patreon page you can link to as well.
Hey.
If you want to support me on Patreon, $3 doesn't get you anything but my gratitude. $5 and $10, I give you some stuff. I can't really tell you what it is. It's some special content. But, the support actually helps pay for things when I pay a professional. We're doing this one ourselves. If it looks good, that's because I got lucky. If it sounds good, that's because we're in Adam's basement where he does stuff anyway. So thanks to you for coming here.
Like how he did that? The student becomes the master.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. So the Hard Way was 10 years ago. How many songs? We got 5 coming out. How many songs have you written since then?
I honestly don't know how to answer that.
There's a whole other country EP potential.
Yeah. I fully developed songs since the Hard Way, counting the EP or not counting the EP?
Counting.
Well over a dozen. Probably not quite 20 fully fleshed out, maybe. But
we've kept it to this 5 songs because these fit together.
They fit together. Yeah. They were all kind of written and recorded together in a way.
They've got horns. 4 of them have horns.
4 of them have horns. They've got a relationship to each other that it felt like they belonged together. I actually originally intended to have the other side be with them, which I put out in 2018, I think.
Yeah.
I talked about this last night at the listening party, and maybe even on other interviews with you, is that I had planned to release this all in 2018. And I'd had a good deal of the core tracking done, and just had some crazy life events come about with some family health issues, and then COVID that ended up putting things on hold for years.
Yeah.
Putting things in a holding pattern, I'd say. Not actually putting them completely on hold, because the project was there. And in all fairness, it kind of gave me the opportunity to slowly work on the project and kind of perfect it over time. Whereas my hope back in 2018 was, hey, let's raise a bunch of money with a crowdfunding effort and then knock this thing out in a month or 2. That was what I was hoping to do back then, and it didn't happen that way. And
a few studios were involved as well.
Oh my gosh.
How many studios was this recorded at? 5 songs.
5 songs. How about this? I will stick to just the audio from the 5 songs that are on there now. If we count home studios as well, which I will, because most of these are good. So mine here, Takashi's. I don't know if we did any at Billy's or Chris's or not. Let's say that we probably did some at Billy's and Chris's, but I'll call that 1. That's 3. Backseat, Big Sky. 2 editions of Solid Sound. That's 7. RMS. Did I say Big Sky already?
Yes.
So I think we're up to 8.
That's a significant amount of work for 5 songs. But the point of the story is that you're trying to perfect it and get it just right. And you're getting it just right. I mean, this is why it took so long, is because you had the perfectionist bug for this, and you wanted to get it right. So you'll see, the thing about it is you'll see that kind of studio list if you pull up a Coldplay record. A lot of times you'll see recorded, mixed, mastered at 10 different studios. You'll see that they do all kinds of stuff, but they also have a lot of money. Unlike you,
so they can get stuff done a lot quicker with that. My buddy Chris Dupont, we were talking about, he actually noted last night, one of the things he thought was really kind of incredible is that knowing the history of how it was recorded, how seamless it sounds.
The vocals all sound the same.
He was like, it sounds like he recorded the vocals all in one day on the same microphone using the same equipment. Yeah. And that's not what happened at all. And some of my favorite sounds of the record were recorded right here. Right here. I'll let people know the guitar sound, the main guitar sound, like the intro and the guitar solo, and a lot of the main guitar sounds for Old Time Love, the title track, were that deluxe reverb amp actually out in the hallway there, so I could get some isolation. And I'm tracking it, I'm playing it in here, and once I got it was one of those things where I'm looking for a sound. I was super inspired by Theo Katzman's Heartbreak Hits at the time, and I'm like, I want to do something like that. And I feel like I got it. And I was so proud of it. I remember telling Chris and buddies, I'm like, dude, I nailed this freaking guitar sound. This is the best guitar sound I've ever done. I'm so happy with it. So
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
The first time we met in a studio, I wrote, because I was researching a little bit, was February 12th, 2013.
Okay.
Do you know that you performed Love on Your Side in the studio then, even though we were talking about The Hard Way?
That's wild. No, I did not know that.
Yes.
It was brand. You know
It
what?
was so brand new.
I didn't even have it all the way written.
Chris and Betsy sang on it.
That's right. I remember stumbling through it because I wasn't sure how I was going to play it yet.
Sounded great.
Unlike stumbling through it today because I didn't practice anything.
The second session that we did together in 2013, we did two that year.
Okay.
February and I think August. You did The Other Side.
How about that?
And this arrangement of The Other Side is not the country arrangement that I got used to hearing later, but more jangly, a little less sad, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely, it does have a little less melancholy feel.
So how does the song transition from, like, why did you decide to change it?
A lot of that was just instrumentation. A lot of that was once we got in the studio. I'll say the way that song ended up, I also think is how it should have been. Drew Howard played pedal steel on that, and it really took the song somewhere. We were really inspired by John Mayer's "Rollin' On Home," I think is that what it's called.
Can't remember right now.
He's got a pedal steel on there with phaser and stuff, and Nick Nagurka, engineer and producer for that, was like, I think we need to try this. Can we get a pedal steel player? I'm like, yeah, let's get Drew Howard to do it. And Ian Finkelstein on the piano. The piano became the main instrument. That's a lot of what it was. Yeah. Is that I wrote it just acoustic guitar. In the studio, I played that. After we tracked everything, I'm like, that's got to go. And like, it doesn't fit anymore. Like, it's not necessary. You can actually still hear it in the pre-choruses. That's the only place you hear that type of feel going on. But I played it in the studio, and like, it wasn't like a hard decision. Like, we played the song a couple times, and I looked at everybody, and I looked at Nick, and I was like, that guitar part's gone. They were like, yeah, we don't need it. The piano is filling up the space, and it should. And it did give it a more like melancholy sound, because that's the kind of song it is. And it's also a little slower, I think, maybe.
Yeah, slower.
And yeah, it worked. So a lot of that was just the player's instrumentation and letting the song kind of happen.
Fun fact about that song, and if you're a regular watcher of the videos as opposed to just a listener of the audio, the videos, at least most of them, have started out with that music bed from the original single as the intro. So you've heard the intro to Love on Your
The Other Side.
The Other Side a lot. So yeah, just in case people wanted to know. The same session you did that early version of that song, Mike Shea was with you, and you did Love Me Better. And he's playing cajon, and that one changed a little bit over time too.
Yeah,
I got used to hearing it one way, and then you started doing it a different way, and then the way it ended up on the album is pretty close to, I think, where it was, but slightly just. I think the did it at the end is gone. We talked about that a little bit last night, but it is time for another song. Is that one that you can pull off?
I think
solo?
That's what we should do.
All right, there we go.
I think that's what we should do. And I'm trying to think. It'll probably be a hybrid of how you first heard it and how it is on the record, just to try to fill up the sound a little bit. So, all right, let's see here if I can remember all the words to this too.
You've been holding my hand, leading me on. Now I need to know if your love is strong. It's getting real, but we got seems good. You know you don't treat me like you should. If I could get my timing right, and I could know the score, then it might be right. If you would let me know now, baby, you could love me better. You could love me right. You could I know that I wear my heart on my sleeve. And this is a love you can take or leave. If I could get my timing right, and I could know the score, then it might be right. If you would love me more now, baby, you could love me better. You could love me right. You could love me better all through the night. Oh, through the night. You could love me better. You could love me better. You could love me. Come on now, you could love me better. If I could get my timing right, and I could know the score, then it might be right. If you would love me more now, baby, you could love me better. You could love me right. You could love me better. You could love me. You could love me. You could love me better. You could love me right. You could love me better all through the night. Through the night. Ooh, oh, oh.
Yeah, we got there eventually.
We got there. Song I heard 10 years ago, and I've been waiting for it to come out. It's finally coming out December 1st on an EP called Old Time Love. Adam Plomaritas is my guest. You can hear him do it live with his full band December 1st at the Arc. Kylie Phillips will start the show up, perhaps even join you on vocals on a song.
She very well may.
I hope
Remains
so.
to be seen. I hope so too.
All right. Some lightning round stuff since we've already taken up a pretty good amount of your evening. Were you aware that The Other Side got a positive review on a website called Americana UK?
I don't know.
I was just Googling stuff. I'm like, what the heck?
That sounds familiar.
I don't know how you got it in there, but
Yeah, no, that sounds right. I think I remember getting notified of that one.
So that's potential for reaching an audience on the other side of the lake.
Okay, there you go.
The lake. It's a big one. The last time you played the Arc Show was a headliner in 2019, though you mentioned Ebert and Friends. That was 5 years ago. Sideman for Al Battis, I believe.
Yep.
Who else have you been up there with?
Actually, I played up the Coldstone Harvest last show.
Okay.
I played keys with them a little bit and sang a little. So
Not often we see you play keys.
No, not that often. Anything else that I've done there recently? I don't know. Yeah, those are the two most recent ones. Al Bettis and Coldstone Harvest were pretty recent.
Probably hard to pick a favorite room to play in, but no, it's not.
I don't know if I should say it on video.
Because you want to play elsewhere too.
Yeah, I mean, the Arc is where it's at. Arc is so good.
It's a listening room.
20 Front Street for small ensemble
Yeah.
is awesome.
I saw a guitar player play. I've been there a number of times. It was the loudest I've ever had them play that room, but it was still so good, even like incredibly loud. This Lucas Draganoli guy is amazing. But yeah, it's a great room for lots of reasons.
The Arc's also got a special place because it's hometown.
Yeah.
It's right down the street from me, and it's like a combination of like stage, like aura, history, magic, and also familiar and home.
Yeah. You know what legends have played there, but you've seen your friends play
I know what legends have talked crap about it.
Yeah.
And faced a lot of backlash.
Yeah. Cowboy junkies. Excuse me.
Bless their hearts.
Yes. I'm not suggesting life would be better, but how much more productive do you think your musical world would be without your three boys? And obviously,
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but that's actually a lot of the songs that I write. Actually, maybe the last song I write will be the one that focuses on that most. Is that there's a lot in here that is dealing with. I don't know if jealousy is the right word. I would say it's envy. If there's a difference between jealousy and envy, and I almost feel like jealousy is wanting what you have. Maybe I might have this backwards, but this is how I internalize it. Whereas envy is going, I just wish I had what you have also. Not instead.
Yeah.
But just like, man, I wish I had that too. And I do feel like a handful of my peers, just kind of the way their life was set up in terms of family life, they had a leg up on being an artist. That I made a choice to settle down and have kids, and even though like the other side is about talking to my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, saying, hey, I'm going to try to do this whole musician thing, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard as a wife and as a mom. And I think it has been hard, to have dad gone most weekends, a lot of holidays. There are perks with it, and to where I've taken my kids to more Tigers games than most other dads because I can in the summer.
Because you're not usually working at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Right, because I can tell, or the day games really is the
Yeah.
key, is that I can get to a 1 or 2 o'clock game when most dads are in the office.
Sure.
And so there's not to say there's not total pros to it too, but at the same time, I think that I tempered it more than that song realized I would. Is that when you like skew the balance of your life, when you set it up to go, how much am I going to dive into being a performing artist? How much am I going to dive into being a husband and father? I think I ended up staying closer in that balance to dad and husband than I thought that I might. And then I warned my wife that I would. I stayed closer to it. And a lot of that's probably just because I love doing it. I love being a dad. I love taking my kids fishing.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I overheard my wife talking last night to somebody about nobody is glad that COVID happened and that it came about the way that it did. However, there's some things that we learned from it that are incredibly valuable. And I think a lot of people in that time started to learn what was actually important to them and what they wanted to actually spend their time doing. And if it wasn't for COVID, I don't know that I would have realized how much I value taking my kids fishing.
There you go.
And so it's like a great joy in my life that I homeschooled them for a year because there was no school.
Yeah.
And I was like, rather than just doing remote, why don't I just do it? And one of our classes was like outdoor survival skills, which was like 95% just fishing. So, which my kids got really good at that year.
Fun.
So
we talked a bit about the musical hodgepodge that you are. If you look at his YouTube page, you can find him doing a Nine Inch Nails cover and a Chicago cover. Now, those are two opposite ends of the world.
Are they opposite? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I was looking for a song that people would be surprised that you have covered, maybe for a wedding. Like, tell me something that no one would have expected to hear you sing, that you've sung. Because I mean, at
weddings. Sorry, I'm getting far away from the microphone. At weddings, you do all kinds of stuff. What have I? Did I do? I think I did "Ballerina Girl" by Lionel Richie. Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that. That one was kind of out of left field. What else? I mean, there's probably other stuff that's even weirder than that I've that I've pulled out before.
It was an odd question. I didn't know if you'd have like a.
Yeah.
I can't believe I sang that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'll say one of the things that the way I approach weddings is that I will say no. I'll say no. We're going to DJ that one. For either because I don't like it and I won't tell them that's why. And that doesn't happen that often, to be honest. It's very rare that I'll have a song. And sometimes it's not that I don't like the song, it's that I don't like doing it. It's that I don't think I can do this song justice.
Yeah.
And so I have told people, like, there's some Talking Heads songs that people want at their weddings. There's one that people ask for
Burning Down the House?
No. I mean, Burning Down the House gets asked for, but there's one that people want for like a first dance song.
Talking Heads?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's an eclectic one, and I'm not.
Heaven?
I can't remember it off the top of my head
Okay.
right now. I'm struggling to find it, but I've told people, I'm like, listen, I can do a version of this song, but it won't be that version. So if you want to hear the Talking Heads version, we should just play it. We should just DJ it.
This must be the place. I
think that's it. That's
it's got
it.
a
Yep.
The groove is, yeah,
That's absolutely it. That song.
It's a nice song.
Yeah, it is good, and so it's always pleasant to hear it. And now I will say there are times where somebody asks for a song that I do kind of my own version on, and I get excited about it. You know, they're like, "Hey, we'd like to do this," and I'm like, "I do a great version of that song, but it's gonna be a little different. Is that okay?"
Yeah.
You know, so
There you go.
yeah.
In a similar question vein, if you could pick one album to cover in its entirety, what would it be? That you could do justice or make it your own, like Ryan Adams did to 1989.
That was a great.
It's an
freaking
interesting.
move. That was so good. Man, that is a good question. I've always wanted to do a Boston tribute show.
Oh, that'd be hard.
I don't know that I could sing almost any of it without drastically changing it. But I've always wanted to get a band together. To be honest, we'd probably have to get female vocalists to do a lot of the singing. But I've always wanted to do Act 1, first record, Act 2, second record, Act 3, the best of the rest.
Wow.
Hasn't happened yet. Who knows if I'll have time to do it. I've always wanted to do that. I mean, there's probably some record, like Songs That Keep Life. I could probably pull together pretty cool, top to bottom of it.
I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I bought the Najee version. Why wouldn't I buy yours?
I will say that for one of my and my wife's anniversaries, he was touring. Stevie was touring that record, and he played Joe Louis. I remember buying the tickets. We were in this house, so it had to be no further back than 8 years ago. Actually, I went with you to go see Paul McCartney the same calendar year.
And was that the same show probably because Brad Phillips was
That's
in
right.
the first chair at the Stevie Wonder show. Yeah.
And I also saw James Taylor for the first time that year. So it was like...
It's a good year.
It was an amazing concert-going year for me because I got to see these heroes all play. They were all... And I know any musician can be hit or miss, and especially once you start getting into your 60s and 70s, you can definitely be hit or miss. All three of those guys, Stevie Wonder, Paul McCartney, and James Taylor, were fire when I saw them. They were all fantastic. But I was trying to buy the Stevie Wonder tickets as a surprise to my wife. But they were so expensive that she got an instant alert on her phone.
You spent how much?
She thought I bought a guitar.
Yeah.
She sees it come through. She goes, someone just spent hundreds of dollars. It wasn't quite thousands, but it was hundreds of dollars. She goes, "Did you just buy a guitar?" I went, "No, I was trying to surprise you with an anniversary present." And we almost didn't go because I think we had a baby. We had a new baby at home that my wife didn't feel great about leaving, and it was a blizzard.
Yeah.
And gosh, it was an awesome show. And it was the best seats I've probably had for a show like that in my life. We were like 20th-ish row.
Yeah, I didn't have those seats for it.
Well, I splurged. I splurged on one. So that was a great memory. So yeah, like I've never thought about that question before, John, about an album that you could do all the way down. And I don't know that I could play every song right now, but I'm familiar enough with them to where give me a day or two or three. I think I could have a version of it that I'd feel happy about.
That'd be cool.
And a lot of the songs would be different. Like I'd probably do them solo acoustic.
They have to be different.
Yeah.
What's the point of doing it exactly the same?
Yeah. So
there you go. Adam's new EP is called Old Time Love. AdamPlomaritas.com, thearc.org for information about tickets to the show, which is December the 1st. Kylie Phillips is your starting act. I hate calling her an opener in this case.
That's okay. She's fine to be an opener. I don't think that artists take the word opener as demeaning as a lot of people I think they do.
Oh, you're just the opener. Yeah.
They don't think that's all right.
You guys are friends, and she's opened for you before. All right, one more song?
One more song.
You want to do it?
I think I'm going to do How Does It Feel, which kind of ties in everything we were talking about. So, yeah.
thinking it over, looking over my shoulder. Ain't the way I wanna live my life. It's gonna take some sacrifice for things to end up alright in the end. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How does it feel to be the lucky one? I never seem to know, trying so hard to find the difference between you and me. I guess it's gotta be love. Oh, yeah, yeah. Doesn't anyone wonder when they're feeling down under? Well, the weather's always gonna change for the better. Boy, you better let her do what she wants, or you won't find her no more. How does it feel to be the lucky one? I never seem to know, trying so hard to find the difference between you and me. I guess it's gotta be love. Your heart can only beat so fast, oh so fast. Is your love all tied up in your past? Down, no, can you find it anymore?
Just a little interlude there.
Are you really much smarter? Are you working much harder? Well, it don't seem like it's a me, 'cause while I raise my kids, cut my grass, you sit back and bust your ass for free. It doesn't cost you anything, yeah. How does it feel to be the lucky one? Wouldn't you like to know, trying so hard to find the difference between you and me? I guess it's gotta be love. How does it feel to be the lucky one? Wouldn't you like to know, trying so hard to find the difference between you and me? I guess it's gotta be, is it so plain to see love? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, Adam Plomaritas. New EP again called Old Time Love. Look for it online. Your favorite online store. Adam's website will have it there eventually. Hopefully you can pick it up on CD at the show if all goes well.
If all goes well, yes.
December 1st again. And Adam, thank you for opening up your home to me. And
Hey, my pleasure. It's great having you.
Having me record the session here. Thanks to Grove Studios for really pushing me in the right direction. If I hadn't been doing this the last 3 years, I would have one less joy in my life, that is for sure. So thanks to them. And check them out. Grove Studios, if you're a band or a DJ or a podcaster, they've got a place for you. And it's pretty inexpensive, 24/7 operation. Unlike this one. I think if I was here at 3 a.m, your family would object.
Might be able to get away with it a little bit.
You might be awake. Yeah. Thanks again. Next up on the podcast, scheduled anyway, would be The Rebel Eves, featuring Katie Peterson, Grace Tyson, and Julian Linklater. So stay tuned for that later in November, early December.